Welcome back to The Explainer. I'm so thrilled you're here with us today. We're going to dive into the life and legacy of Dr. Abdul Qadeer Khan. Widely recognized as the father of Pakistan's nuclear program, his story is an absolutely fascinating saga of intellectual dedication and national service. But listen, our goal today isn't just to recite a biography. We're going to impartially analyze his unique leadership style by looking through the lens of historical events. We really want to understand how a single individual manages to navigate incredibly complex global pressures while simultaneously building a lasting human legacy.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to break this down into 4 parts. A thirst for knowledge, the pivot to Pakistan, defying immense international pressure, and finally, mentoring a scientific generation.
Starting right off with part 1, a thirst for knowledge, building the foundations of expertise.
Take a look at this timeline, because it really sets the stage with an incredible contrast. Dr. Khan was born in Bhopal, British India, in 1936. But look at that second date, 1947. At just 11 years old, his entire world gets completely flipped upside down by the massive upheaval of partition. He migrates to Karachi as a literal kid. You'd think that kind of early vulnerability might hold someone back, but actually, scratch that. It seemed to do the exact opposite. He was driven by what the sources describe as this insatiable thirst for advanced knowledge. Moving down the timeline post-1947, we see him traveling all the way to Europe. And we're not talking about a casual study abroad trip here. This was a rigorous pursuit of expertise. In Germany and the Netherlands, he deeply immersed himself in his studies, completely honing his expertise in metallurgy and nuclear technology. That right there is where he built the rock-solid, highly technical foundation for his future leadership.
Which brings us to part 2, the pivot to Pakistan, a catalyst for change.
And this brilliantly illustrates the turning point, 1974. Why is this specific year absolutely crucial? Well, because that's the year India conducted its first nuclear test. It was the ultimate catalyst. Dr. Khan was over in Europe at the time, but watching the geopolitics of South Asia shift literally overnight, he recognized an immediate, urgent need for a nuclear deterrent. Looking strictly at the historical record, his motivation was to balance the power dynamics in the region. The landscape had fundamentally changed, and his own life trajectory? Yeah, it was about to change right along with it.
This leads to a monumental personal and professional decision. Dr. Khan is working at a highly secure, prestigious uranium enrichment facility in the Netherlands, but he makes the pivotal choice to walk away. He packs up, leaves that high-security job behind, and heads back to Pakistan to offer his highly specialized knowledge directly to the government. Once there, he establishes the Kahuta Research Laboratories, or KRL. It's a classic leadership pivot. He identifies a critical gap, in this case, strategic security, and completely uproots his own life to step in and fill it. He was no longer just an engineer in a lab. He became the architect building an institution from the ground up.
Moving on to part 3. Defying immense international pressure, the crucible of leadership. This perfectly captures the sheer duality of what he was dealing with. On the left, we've got the hurdles, immense international pressure, mind-boggling technical challenges, and this intense, unrelenting global scrutiny focused on non-proliferation. But then look at his response on the right, relentless leadership and total mastery of uranium enrichment. To actually navigate this, his leadership style had to become incredibly defensive, secretive, and just absolutely resolute. He basically had to act as a shield for his team so they could focus purely on balancing South Asian power dynamics against some staggering external obstacles. It required an unyielding resolve to keep the program moving forward when the entire international community was pushing back. All of that relentless drive, all of that pressure-tested leadership culminates right here with this number, 7. In 1998, Pakistan successfully conducted the Chage nuclear tests, officially declaring itself the world's 7th nuclear power. This was it, the realization of the goal he set way back in 1974. A sovereign deterrent was established. He had actually managed to navigate that immense hurdle of international pressure to pull off this singular, historic achievement. Let's look at part 4, mentoring a scientific generation, building human capital.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how it highlights his evolution as a leader. Once that defensive technology was locked in after 1998, his focus completely shifted. He didn't just walk away. Instead, he dedicated his later years to mentoring an entire generation of young Pakistani scientists and engineers. He goes from being this defensive shield against global pressure to more of a gardener, really, planting seeds for the future.
He recognized that providing real, long-term strategic security wasn't just about possessing the technology. It was about building the human capital required to maintain and advance it. He was actively building a lasting, living legacy through his people. This final timeline kind of brings his whole story to a close. After achieving that strategic security in '98, we see him in his later years. He stayed a steadfast guide for the scientific community, even while battling some really tough health complications, specifically respiratory and lung-related issues. But even with his declining health, his commitment to mentoring young scientists never wavered. Ultimately, Dr. Khan passed away on October 10, 2021, in Islamabad at the age of 85, and was laid to rest at the H8 graveyard. But as the historical sources make crystal clear, his legacy is firmly rooted. He's remembered as Mohsin-e-Pakistan, the savior or benefactor of Pakistan. It's a title that cements his role not just as a scientist, but as the architect who ensured his nation's sovereignty through an impenetrable deterrent.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Dr. Khan's life gives us an incredibly stark, historical example to consider, but it raises a fascinating universal question. How does a leader actually balance the immediate, crushing demands of global pressure with the quiet, long-term necessity of mentoring the next generation? It's an incredible duality of leadership, isn't it? Having to be the fierce protector in the present while patiently serving as the teacher for the future. Thank you so much for joining me as we unpacked this incredible slice of history. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.